Okay, hello, BBB Not So Fireside Chat number 2. We had like a fire filter on that last recording that clearly didn't translate when we downloaded the videos.
Yeah, there was the fire marshal, and they were very upset,
Yeah,
and it was bad.
it was. Yeah, QT Marshall showed up. It was
Yeah,
wild.
yeah. And
Thank-
Marshall Falk,
yeah, absolutely. And then
and
we went.
Supreme Court Justice John Marshall,
Yeah, and then we went
out of a time machine. Yeah,
went straight to the Falkland Islands thereafter.
zipped.
So yeah, we're here today. Largely, week of content. We've been slow to put out an episode since the Atlanta madness, so to speak, and we want to kind of address some of that here, as well as give you our official Double or Nothing picks for this Sunday. Well, Beaumont, should we kick it off with the Turner news? Well, before we get into it, should I just address it, or do we want to address our trip first, or what?
Well, I mean, yeah, let's talk about our trip. Let's talk about what happened.
Which we mentioned briefly in the last video, but this kind of directly pertains to our trip. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I heard this in recording. You guys, Ricky Starks, I got my Naruto shirt here, and I was down there, playing therapist with Vince, which was successful, which man, maybe I got another career in that.
Yeah.
But
slapped him in the sharpshooter.
Yes. Slapped him in the very thoughtful sharpshooter is what they say.
Yeah.
But you were up there with the Zoom with Ted, and you entered his big giant space age echo chamber.
And don't forget, I ran in with the Grand High exec.
Oh yeah, man, I don't even remember what that guy looks like. They had me drink the Kool-Aid so hard.
Who ultimately turned out to have a Kermit the Frog voice, which was very strange, and acted like he didn't know who the fuck I was.
For as much time I spent around him, I had no idea, but I don't really remember that period of my life, so I can't talk with any sort of authority. Yeah.
And in the woods, he was all hooded and all that crazy shit. Yeah, just in a suit, he looked just like a normal guy and sounded like Kermit and was really fucking weird. But the echo chamber and Ted, just what a lovely man. And in fact, I was just telling you before you hit record that I was going to have a virtual background up here, but this little machine I have won't allow me, and it was going to be Ted, old school black and white smug photo of Ted. But, I mean, he's why we're here right now and getting ready to cover Double or Nothing. And it was crazy up there. I think I even said this on the last one. I'm still a little upset with Ted that he kind of threw Smack Boyle to the woodshed there, calling him a dum-dum at the end. But
I don't know. Smack Boyle seems like an all right.
Yeah, but everything else from Ted I thought was wonderful. And then when I came down and after the chaos of Vince running through you got him in the sharpshooter, and I couldn't believe it. And
man. I just did it like how Dusty told me, it was like in the Book of Turner, I just blacked out. I wasn't drinking,
And not only did you have him in it, but again, he was reasoning with you for the first, he always kind of reasoned more with you than me, but reason beyond the king of sucking and driving us off, he
exposed his vulnerability to me, and it just kind of was like, listen, man, I get expectations, we have expectations, we deal with, every week or every time we put out an episode, what we think our audience expects out of us and what we want to make, and it's a balancing act, and sometimes one thing outweighs the other. And I just told Vince, I was like, well, ultimately, who gets to set the expectations for yourself? And I think he understood, and
I think he said me.
He did.
That was crazy.
He identified it, and he backed away and pulled the rubble of the CNN tower out.
Yeah, he backed out.
So we haven't heard from him since, obviously.
The rubble.
We don't know if Turner sued him, or if police came after him.
He drove right into the CNN center. It was insane. But he did say he'll talk to us soon. So again, at least somehow ending on somewhat of a good note with Mr. McMahon. And Poor Triple H just sucking down 10 rusty nails and getting abused by his wife, and we got abused by his wife. That was like as scary as anything, just getting cooked by Stephanie.
Well, aren't you glad you're away from all that? It's obviously that puts the TOXIC in toxic.
Yeah.
It was literally sure So I think I'm pretty glad that we've moved beyond that.
And we're thankful for Ted for that. And I guess we'll just go right into the big news that's not quite as new anymore, but we haven't addressed it really, other than maybe a tweet or two. But the big shakeup coming to the AEW programming here in the next year. Yeah, this was from like 2 weeks ago now at this point. I'll just read it directly from the press release here. Turner said Wednesday that TNT's wrestling series AEW Dynamite will move to TBS in January of 2022. The move comes as TNT is adding the new hour-long series AEW Rampage, which will debut August 13th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. It, too, will relocate to TBS with Dynamite in 2022. Dynamite is currently in the middle of season 3 on TNT with a new episode of the All Elite Wrestling series coming tonight at 10 p.m. 5 Pacific. The show will remain on Wednesday nights when it relocates to TBS. Brett White's general manager, TBS, TNT, and True TV confirmed it during a press call this morning 2 weeks ago. Brett, Mr. White, said, both TBS and TNT have an incredibly storied past with wrestling, so for us being able to put more AEW onto TBS was a natural fit. For me, being able to program these networks as a portfolio gives me the latitude to put them where it makes most sense for the consumer, as it says, for the consumer. Did NHL have anything to do with it? Sure. The NBA had something to do with it. ... We felt TBS had an opportunity to be the best platform for expansion, he added. So you really think it's this Brett Weiss guy who's given this quote? I think I know another Brett who may have had the boss's ear to make these changes.
Yeah, and I credit it all to you. I do have a first question I want to ask you.
Yes.
That I think is like a question that's probably on everyone's minds. Is this a better deal than WCW had? Is this does this entrench them better than the deal WCW had with Turner back in the 1990s?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I don't know all the money involved, but I mean, it's like a $50+ million deal. And yeah, like WCW did ultimately end up getting like the second show, Thunder, was on TBS, and Nitro was on TNT. But that, like, they were already kind of on the decline as that was starting. I mean,
assy logo heading toward it.
A little, yeah, just prior, it was like 97, 90. I mean, it really started to tank in early 99. But yeah, I mean, I think this is just, it's AEW's, it's part of their natural expansion that we've all been hearing that this extra show was coming. And beyond like the AEW Dark Elevation, like an actual television show.
And streaming, we think like probably helps them a lot. Having that arm to it. That's like, I assume it's their streaming, and it doesn't have, like, I guess it has something to do with Turner tangentially.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah, and I mean, now technically they'll have 4 different shows with Dynamite, Rampage, Elevation, and Dark. And I think what I've heard too is like Dark, what they're going to do is kind of what they started doing the pandemic, but while traveling, like each town they're in, they're going to use like the indie wrestlers from that town. So it gives them more exposure. Yeah. So like, and that was huge for them throughout the pandemic because AEW kept running shows the whole time. And with a thin roster, got, a lot of people got more exposure. Like Anna Jay came up during that time. Like Powerhouse Hobbs, the Varsity Blondes, like all these people that are kind of now entrenched on Dynamite got those opportunities in the pandemic. So I think this is just a grand slam all the way, not just because it was my doing.
So you would say this is a power move, not a desperation move?
Oh, this is part of the upward trajectory that's been steadily going up from the get-go. Absolutely. Okay. I think the key will be keeping Dynamite at 2 hours because we've seen what happened to Raw. Nitro, same thing. It's fine. So that's why I'm so much happier that it's an extra show. And Friday nights at 10, just like tonight, let's go. That's a ton of fun. yeah, it's more content to cover and watch. And I mean, who knows what the future of our show is going to be, as we've kind of said, but we'll obviously we'll be watching it. Maybe we won't be watching it together all the time, but I'm sure for me, it'll be appointment television, from the get-go, like AEW Dark Elevation. Like I've watched a couple of those and I'll watch a match here and there.
Is that the one with Paul White, right?
Yeah. And like Konosuke Takeshita came over from DDT, wrestled Danny Limelight. Match was awesome. Like I'll watch shit that pops up that's in. Actually, our guy Rocky Romero was on there recently. I haven't watched it yet. So yeah, but like I feel like Rampage will be appointment television, and I'm excited. I mean,
good.
And actually, here, let me.
Very good.
Grab.
Oh man! So what's going to happen with that? Next question.
And if you,
Cody said something about it today.
And if you don't think this had something to do with all these changes, this power that this wields,
well, it's now an ancient relic. Like because obviously it will probably change names. Like it can't not, right? Yeah.
And this one's even more ancient because it's the red strap, the Brody Lee strap.
Right.
But no, so Cody did say it will remain the TNT championship.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah. And actually, I mean, the rumor that I guess it's true that like TNT initially had requested that their secondary title, which it's not a secondary title in their books, and I don't think it is either, but their second title would be called the TNT Championship. So
it remains.
I wonder, I'm wondering at some point if they do a TBS title. Cody hinted at a new title coming, and I think everyone thinks that's going to be a trios championship, which I think will be a ton of fun. I'd rather see that than another singles title because, again, just get 6 guys in every match, get a lot of opportunity for people. Like New Japan has a 6-man title. I think Ring of Honor. I mean, they're not always treated with the highest of prestige, but on Lucha Underground, though, they were fucking key.
Yeah.
And the inaugural tournament for them was one to not forget. But exciting stuff ahead.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the True TV title and who's going to whoop Impractical Joker's ass for it.
Oh, I can't wait to play. Like when I first heard Rampage, all I could think about was the video game.
Oh, with The Rock too,
and the film with The Rock. Yeah.
Oh yeah, tell him, hey Alvarez.
Young 5 million, young Rock.
5 million. I'm an objective fan.
Yeah, I mean you are. And then actually, real quickly before, was that kind of, are we wrapped up on Turner Tarp?
I would say so. Those are both, my big sort of, questions about it. And I feel like
made clear that this was our doing. Like we
entirely. Yeah. I mean,
coincidental that it happened just, mere a week after we left Atlanta. So
yeah, I mean, I think that makes us turn our temples. I mean, at worst stakes. At worst,
Let's have a dinner debonair with some steaks.
Please do. New York Times, give us an award because we deserve it.
But real quick, I just wanted to address one thing that came up today. Just rumors swirling that WWE president Nick Khan, who is new in the role, but another Khan, has engaged in talks with New Japan Pro Wrestling about a WWE New Japan partnership. I don't buy that it's actually going to happen. I buy that talks may have happened. Would it be cool? Hell yeah, it would be cool. I mean, there's so many awesome dream match potentials there, obviously.
Well, what would be your dream match out of WWE? Who would you like to see from WWE fight? Like
Roman and Okada.
Roman Okada. Yeah, that'd be pretty good. That'd be really good, actually.
Like Daniel Bryan, even though he's technically gone, would be a matchup with so many awesome people over, like getting Shinsuke Nakamura back in New Japan.
Sure.
The Seth Rollins, Will Ospreay kind of had like a little Twitter feud. I mean, with Roman and Okada, there's just so many possibilities. I mean, Shingo and Ibushi, I would need to have a puzzle to just match all these up.
Sure.
So yeah, it would be amazing. But Azar even texted me this earlier. He's like, I'd find it hard to believe both sides could get what they want out of an agreement. You know, like Roman's not going to want to lose to Okada and vice. That's always the tough thing with these interpromotionals, especially when you have champions, is like the champions are not going to lose to someone from another promotion.
I imagine, yeah.
But I mean, it's interesting. It's the first report of anything like, you know, just the fact that WWE is allegedly even willing to talk about a partnership like this, I think is progress. Because it's kind of, I mean, I think they know and they see, and it's happening, that it's the wrestling world against them. And I think they want a bit of that action. And, you know, they've kind of been doing little bits here and there. But yeah, I mean, it's not going to happen. I'd be shocked if it did. But I think it's cool that the talks are happening. I think what I personally want, and, you know, a lot of people that I follow and whatnot, like just the more official, like AEW New Japan crossover. Obviously, still with COVID being kind of bad in Japan, like we're not quite there yet. But yeah, I mean, just exciting times ahead for wrestling.
Yeah. And I guess speaking of another crossover news, Dan Callis is no longer an executive on Impact. So and I tweeted out hit watch, you know, so I don't know. I will obviously talk about hit watch extensively because like where are we at right now? We're at a Rose, you know, Rose is pretty standard.
Well, so let us lead that right into our Double or Nothing picks, because that is the first match we were going to talk about.
Hit watch.
Hit watch. Back in action, full throttle hit watch with Dan Callis now accompanying the Young Bucks in a turn of events since you've been with AEW, who will be defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against former rivals Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston. This feud, I think, has been built very well. Locker room attacks, trailer attacks, you know, stealing the Young Bucks $1,000 shoes.
Like the whole Young Bucks arc. You know, has like
finally
contributed to this.
Finally, they're the shitheads that we wanted to hate the whole time. You know, I've always loved the Young Bucks. I mean, don't whatever, but they're so much more entertaining and natural heels.
Yeah.
And I love that the Elite is back together. You know, all old Bullet Club guys. Like, I've been loving it. So, thoughts on the match?
Probably gonna say Young Bucks. I hate to say it, but it seems like it's gonna be a match where that's gonna kind of happen. I don't think like this pay-per-view is gonna be where like the tide turns on all this Dan Callis executive, like AEW corporate stuff is going to get under. Like I think it's all gonna get the rug pulled out from under it at once, but it's not gonna be this pay-per-view. So it's gonna be Young Bucks.
I agree with you on that. And one thing I actually wanted to preface before really getting into this is I think on paper, this card is tremendous, but I think it's a largely predictable card. So with that, I feel like there's going to be, you know, at least one or two surprises. And as I was kind of thinking through this, I'm thinking this could be prime for a surprise, because I'd say most people think the Young Bucks will win. So I wouldn't be shocked to see Moxley and Kingston. But again, Moxley's got a baby on the way soon. Seems kind of like a natural time for him to take, you know, a month or two off. The guy could use it. He fucking carried him during the pandemic. So, yeah, I'm going with the Young Bucks as well. And I don't know. I agree with you in that I think all this continues on longer.
Yeah, it's all going to turn at once. I feel like it's going to be a tidal wave.
Yeah,
when it all flips. It's not going to be like this gradual little piece by piece thing, I think.
I do think the Young Bucks aren't going to hold the tag titles as long as Kenny holds the world title.
Okay.
How and when all that transpires, I don't know. Just because I feel like Kenny's holding it at least till Revolution of next year.
Sure.
And I could see the Young Bucks losing before then, but I'm with you. Now is not the time.
Agreed.
Match number 2. Well, we don't know the order. We just pulled these off CBS and reversed them. Sting and Darby Allin versus I'm Very Upset, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Again, this has been a fun little feud recently. It hasn't had the length of the build of the Young Bucks and Moxley and Kingston, but you know, a few weeks ago when Darby was or Scorpio and Ethan were up in the stands giving the promo, and Darby popped out of nowhere and slammed him against, and then he got thrown down the stairs, and we had Scorpio booking it. Like, that was a ton of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Both Paige and Sky got the opportunity to give promos last week, which was, I thought they were both really good, especially Ethan Page. He was really fired up, really upset. But I had, because he's still so new and I never really saw him in Impact, I'm like, this guy's legit. I'm a fan.
Sure.
And of course, Sting and Darby, classic. It seems like obviously Darby just lost to Miro and now he's kind of in the fold here as well. I think this is an interesting one to pick, and let's note it's Sting's first live actual match in 6 years, which is something we talked heavily about when Sting came. Would this happen? It's happening. What do you think? Who's going to win?
Plot wise, it would make a lot more sense, for Ethan Page to score. If any of the matches here is going to be a plot match, it'll be this one. I don't know. It would be easy to say Sting and Darby Allin just because, they're going to go easy on Sting. But, Darby lost the TNT title. I think he has a bit of a downward trajectory to go on right now. So I'll say Page and Sky just because, I think plot-wise, plot match, that's just what makes the most sense. You said this is a predictable card, predictable match.
Yeah. I'm with you, but I actually kind of went back and forth on this because I think you could go either. It's I think the win means much more to Page and Sky, and that's why I'm picking them. I think they should win because it'll help them much more. Because Sting and Darby, Sting, it doesn't matter if Sting loses a match, and Darby is so over and protected right now. It doesn't matter if he loses the match, but on the other side of that coin, you have Sting, the icon, and Darby, one of the most popular wrestlers on your roster who just carried the TNT title longer than anyone.
Right.
So logic would dictate that they're going to win. But I'm sticking with Page and Sky as well. And I would actually call this you were calling this a more of a sure thing. I don't think it is as much. So
okay.
But I'm sticking with them, and I think they should win. I hope.
Yeah, I agree.
So Stadium Stampede 2. And what my thought was, I know we'd originally talked about doing Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker for If You Recall next.
Great idea. I can read your mind now. Excellent.
Stadium Stampede 1.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Because I think it's going to be a much different match this time. And Stadium Stampede 1 was just perfect time and place, heart of the pandemic, no fans, and they just did everything, and it was incredible. So I'm so excited to see what they do for number 2. I don't think it's going to be quite as comedic. This is it's a blood feud, so to speak, blood and guts. And it's just, it's still pretty fresh. And I don't think they're going to be fucking around much. I'm sure there'll be little bits of comedy, but not much. Okay. And noteworthy that if the Inner Circle loses, they must break up. So what do you think? Who do you got?
I think they're going to fuck with us, and I'm going to go with the Pinnacle.
Oh
yeah, I think they are. I think you talk about the act of twisting the knife and MJF winning. I think if there's one match where they can defy fans' expectations and sort of set a narrative agenda sort of beyond what we've plotted out, I think this is it. I think this is where you really get in there and you really fuck with people's expectations and you really kind of establish yourself as storytellers. And I'm going to go with the Pinnacle because I think if you really want to kind of subvert, I think this is where you do it. And I think you maybe you put MJF on a path to challenging for the AEW title right here, right now.
I love it. I'm not going to pick it, but I love it. And I love that you went out on the limb. Like I said, there's got to be some surprises in this, I think. I'm kind of trending towards not really picking any at this point because I think mine would, but I'm going with the Inner Circle. I love your rationale. I love your thought. It solidifies the Pinnacle. All the Inner Circle guys can certainly do their own thing, but I just think this feud's got a lot more gas in it, and you can go so many ways with it. I mean, the tag match with Santana and Ortiz and FTR, Sammy and MJF, Jericho and MJF, Wardlow, Hager, Spears and whomever, there's a lot of fuel left. And I just don't, the Inner Circle just turned babyface.
Right.
They're just now getting in front of crowds. So there's a lot of opportunity for t-shirt sales with that. I think it's a bit too early, but I'm going to stick with the Inner Circle here.
No, I get it. I mean, I would normally, but I think this could be if there's an area where you upend status quo, I think it's here with the least amount of consequences and baggage.
I dig it. Next, the, should have just kept it, TNT Championship match. The freshly minted champion Miro defending against the Murder Hawk monster Lance Archer, who just always seems to etch his way into these big matches, but never wins.
Shame.
I think this will be an awesome match. Just two big dudes beating the shit out of each other. What do you think?
I like Archer way better than Miro, but Miro's gonna win. Hear the sense of resignation in my voice, because he's only been champion for a little bit. He beat Darby, who's champion forever. Miro's gonna win, but I think Archer's a much better wrestler, and I'll let that be known.
So as I again kind of peeked through the card and my Moxley Kingston non-pick, that was one surprise I thought I might pick. And I think Miro here is the very obvious, sensible pick. But you know what? I'm going to go with Archer, baby. I think, again, he's been in these big matches. He's never won anything really. Like, if he loses again now, where does he go? And I mean, he's never really had a consistent storyline either. Like, remember, around Revolution time, it's like he just kept showing up in these different feuds.
He had that fight against Kingston that was just kind of like, I'm the big guy.
And then he was with what, Moxley and someone against Kenta and Ken. Like, he was in that, the Idaho potato match.
Yeah.
So, he was just randomly in that. He randomly started getting in shit with Sting. Mm-hmm. I like it. I love Lance Archer. I think he's tight, but he hasn't really had that hallmark story. I mean, he was in the first ever TNT championship match against Cody last year at Double or Nothing and lost. Again, sensible pick as Miro, but if I'm going to go with a surprise, I'm going to go with Lance Archer.
Okay. Yeah. I can get down with that.
Hell yeah. So next, as I set this monstrosity down, is the Casino Battle Royale, which I didn't write all of the names down, but
they're all here though.
Yeah, I can read them real quick. Because why not? Let me suck down some water. Christian Cage versus Matt Sydal versus Powerhouse Hobbs versus Penta versus Jungle Boy versus Matt Hardy versus Mark Quinn versus Isaiah Cassidy versus The Blade versus Evil Uno versus Colt Cabana versus Preston Vance versus Griff Garrison versus Brian Pillman Jr. versus Max Caster versus Anthony Bones versus QT Marshall versus Nick Camarado versus Dustin Rhodes versus Lee Johnson versus TBA.
Good Lord.
And there's some rant, where's the Butcher's not there?
No,
No Luchasaurus, no Griff Garrison. Oh, no, Garrison's there.
No Phoenix.
Yeah, what the fuck? There's some notable names not here.
Right. I guess it. Do what?
Phoenix.
Yeah. There are four people I think who can win this.
Okay.
Christian Cage, Penta, Jungle Boy, Matt Hardy. I think those are the four that can win this. I'm going to go with the 50-year just because he is on a Double or Nothing event. And I mean, it's hard to pick this, but I know, I will stand behind more so than pick up Cage that those are the four that can win this.
And when you say 50-year, you mean Christian Cage for
the viewers
out there.
Correct.
Yes, who I believe he's a 47-year like
is
Edge.
He now?
Well, like Edge, who was also a 50-year, Mm-hmm. I would also throw in the wild card pick here, whomever that may be. It's got to be a contender because last year's Double or Nothing, you know who the wild card pick was Brian Cage, and he won it.
No shit.
That was in the Casino ladder match. They've kind of had, you've seen now they've done the ladder match and the Battle Royal, and they kind of flip flop.
Was he with Team Taz then?
No, so he kind of joined. He was just, well, you know what? Taz may have brought him out, but this was his AEW debut. No one had seen, so it was a pretty big surprise.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Christian as well. And I like your picks. I think those are all very sound. I would love to see not Matt Hardy. I don't really care. I mean, to see him against Kenny, but I'd love to see Jungle Boy versus Kenny. And we've already seen Pentagon versus Kenny, and it was the best match of All In when I was there. So I'd love to see that too. And again, whomever this wild card is, and I don't even know who to speculate right now, and not even going to really think about it. I think it's a possibility.
Okay.
But I'll go with Christian. Early on when he arrived, he kind of announced that he wanted to fight Kenny for the title. He's, after 7 years off, he looks great in the ring, very technically sound, a fellow Canadian. You know, I'm sure they've probably had they've never wrestled, but I'm sure they know each other. And I think it'd be a good match for like one of these marquee Dynamite events, like not a pay-per-view, but something like a beach break, type events. So
I agree.
We'll go with Christian Cage. And speaking of Cage, the next match is Cage versus Page. And we also had Ethan Page earlier. So 2 Pages and 2 Cages, maybe we should call this event.
Rhyming with age.
Oh, yeah.
Age well.
Yeah, we could go on, but I'll spare the people. Hangman Page versus Brian Cage. Cage beat Hangman, 3 weeks, a month ago on Dynamite with some help from Team Taz. It was a bit of a surprise, under 10 minutes. I'll just go ahead and say Hangman's going to get his win back here and continue his march towards eventually challenging Kenny for the AEW title, which I think is going to happen later this year. And I think he's going to lose. And then I think he's going to get another shot eventually and win, whether that's Revolution next year, Double or Nothing next year. We've talked about this before, but Hangman Adam Page gets the victory here.
Yeah. And I'll expand upon that. I'll say this is going to be the best match of the night. And I think and the reason it's going to be is this has got to be the beginning of the ascent. Like there cannot be no more lows. There cannot be no more like bait and switches, the rug pulled out from under you. This has got to be the start. So I think that the ascent starts here. And if you want to start the ascent, you need to have a barn burner of a match. And I believe this one is going to be excellent.
I think this will be a great opener to the show. They've opened with the Young Bucks a lot too, so I could see one of these two opening the show. But I'd love to see this match open. And I agree. It's just go out, give them 15 minutes, 17 minutes, and just 2 freak athletes. Yeah, I mean, we were, the match on Dynamite just was short and there was interference. So I'm excited to see a proper one-on-one.
Well, and he'll overcome interference, we'll see that, and that'll be exceptionally triumphant. Yeah.
You'd have to think. Okay, going on to next. For one night only, the American Dream, taking the moniker of his father and our spirit leader, Dusty Rhodes, is Cody Rhodes, the son of a plumber, versus the governor, former Olympic bronze medalist Anthony Ogogo, who's already made his, he punched Cody and buried him in the Union Jack flag. And, he's basically knocking everyone out with these gut punches. I love it because it's so different from what you're used to. And I mean, there's been boxers plenty, but just that he's knocking people out with body shots. And Austin Gunn had the blood coming out of his mouth, which I'm sure was fake. It'd be sick if it wasn't. This is going to be an interesting match. And, a lot of Cody, pretty much every Cody match is at least interesting, whether you like him or not. And he always tells a good story. What do you think here?
I'll say, I think this is the easiest match to pick. I think Cody's winning. And if Cody doesn't win, I'll do a backflip on University Avenue. Like write it down here. We'll film it on TikTok. I will do a backflip on University Avenue if Cody does not win.
I feel pretty confident in Anthony Ogogo.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I think it's his time. I think they're trying to build this guy as a fucking star. And
you think they make Cody lose, running his father's name?
I do. I think what better way to put Anthony Ogogo over by beating Cody on the one night when he's the American Dream. And Cody, I feel like, as the booker, writer, whatever, I feel like he understands and knows how important this is for an Anthony Ogogo to put him over in this situation. Okay. Again, I'm not saying with, the most confidence in the world here that Ogogo is going to win, but I just think he is. And I love that you put the stake in the ground on the other end, because that's going to make this match so much. Oh yeah.
No. And the backflip thing, let's make it tangible. University Avenue is right out there, and it's a busy street. I hope I don't get hit by a pizza delivery cart. Let's do it. We're on.
It's gonna be fun. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, we've got the final 2 matches of the night. The AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida, who's held the belt for 1 year, defending against Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. What a run Sheeta's had with the belt. Again, like Jon Moxley, kind of carried the women's division throughout the pandemic and even longer. She's had just so many great matches. But I think this is definitely the most predictable match on the show. And it is
I could go with that.
It is Britt Baker's time, and she has earned it. She deserves it. And yeah, Dr. Britt Baker, she's gonna win.
Agreed. I'll go ahead and add a little bit of sauce to this. I don't think she wins with the dinner move.
Okay.
No, I think like Cheetah's like too accomplished of a champion to win to win on like a very spectacle submission move like that. I think Britt Baker pins her for the win.
I like that prediction. I think this will be an awesome match. They had a match it was like the 6 weeks they taped right after the pandemic with no fans, and they did like it wasn't 6 weeks. They did 6 shows in like one night, essentially. And this was during that period, and Sheeta had broken Britt's nose, and there was blood everywhere, and they made that iconic T-shirt. Like the moments Britt has had, and she's had these injuries too that have kept her out, but she's had some like iconic moment, like the blood there, everything against Thunder Rosa. And I mean, we kind of trashed her back in the early stages of the show, but it was all out of respect and joking about her being a Steelers fan. But if we're talking like most improved from like, I'm just going to say All In because she was at All In and AEW started after that. I'm not saying she definitely is the most improved, but she's definitely right in the conversation. She's been great the last, 6-8 months.
Oh, yeah. And in my sample size, like she's had the best women's matches, like point blank period. Like her and Thunder Rosa's series has been great. Has been honestly better than any Sheeta match I've seen. And I think Sheeta's a great wrestler, not to like dog her. But like, like the matches that they've really touted her up, like against Zombie Lady, like we're kind of bunk. But like Britt Baker's had like really great matches. She's really proved herself, and deserves it 100%. Fuck the Steelers.
Yeah, fuck the Steelers. But and this would be a shock if it didn't. There's just no way. I mean, Britt Baker. And another one that I think is very predictable, but I think should be a very fascinating and fun match is what I believe to be the main event. But actually, before this, I want to acknowledge something that I think that asshole Micah specifically about. So Stadium Stampede should have said this earlier. Last year, there were no fans at the show. This year, they've got 6,000 fans. So he's like, what if they had the AEW world title match and then like a brief 10-15 minute intermission and brought fans to the stadium to watch Stadium Stampede? They could also, I guess, do it at the beginning of the show, but there's the whole thing of last year. I know it was taped over like 8 hours, like in the overnight type deal. So there's a lot of choreography that goes with it that I don't know if they could do it live, but I thought that was an interesting thought.
Yeah, and I think like I'd even seen on Twitter that like the Stadium Stampede could be live. Or not could be live. I apologize. Could be the main event. And like
I think that's possible. It was last year.
Yeah, and I think like without Orange, like I would almost think that would be an obvious choice. I think Orange like makes this like pretty close to surefire main eventy because it's fucking Orange. But like like the Stadium Stampede, I think like has a little bit more stakes, and it's just had much more drama and build up, and like like you feel the weight of it more so than you feel of this, where it's like
because this has no build. I mean, it's the whole.
I mean, tonight we'll have build. With the
there's been a little bit, but don't get me wrong, I'm fucking excited about the match. But you're right, the stakes are low. Everyone knows Kenny's gonna win, but. I had another point. I don't know what I was going to say. Who's your pick?
Orange. Here's why.
I love it. Yeah.
If that were to happen, nobody could ever take that away from me.
Absolutely.
Like I would, and also like, with that said, the benefits of him winning would outweigh, like to me and my picking reputation, would far outweigh the cost to me losing out on this. So yeah, I'm picking Orange just because it's like picking a long shot horse at a race.
Yeah.
Like a good long shot. Like
they're gonna tease it many times.
Yeah.
I think this match is well. Let's also note it's the first AEW triple threat match, which is exciting. But yeah, back to no build. Like I know what I was gonna say is like we're getting into May. and like no one had any idea what the world title match was going to be. People are like, could it be Hangman? Could it be Miro? Could it be Archer?
Yeah.
You know, I kind of in my mind always thought it was going to be Pac because of Kenny. We have unfinished business.
But Orange makes this fun. Like Orange like elevates this like far beyond that and like makes this a spectacle. And like, man, like if like I think they have to know if they make him win, like it would be such a good thing for them. Like I really think like it would be like, you know, like people would talk about it, you know, everywhere, and I think people would like it. People wouldn't be mad, you know. I think like it would be such a good thing. Like I don't think you could like narratively, like it would be such a, you know, a cutting at the knees, but so like
this kind of goes against your first pick though in the tag title match though.
It does, yeah. It does, but like I guess like the reason why I'm just picking Orange is just because like, man, if he like, I don't know, like if he were to win and I pick, like nobody could take that away from me. So
well, no one can also take away that backflip you're going to be doing too.
Oh man.
But yeah, I'm picking Kenny. Okay. You know, as we said, it seems like a predictable show, but then you and I had some differences, and I think in your heart you really think Kenny Omega is going to win.
Oh yeah, logically I do, but like I do want to put my money on Orange just because, like, man, it like the benefits of it happening far outweigh the cost of me losing out on this. Like it's just sure. like it's a strictly like betting decision here for me, and I don't care if people make fun of me.
Love it. Okay, hey, we're about to watch Dynamite, and excellent. I guess we got a little bit of time, but
yeah, I got to go to Kroger and get some food and booze. So,
hell yeah. I guess we'll see or hear you guys will hear us on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Whenever the episode comes out, hopefully Tuesday.
We'll definitely try for Tuesday. But I guess no one hears from us. Have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Yeah, enjoy. I know like most of the U.S. is opening back up. Enjoy
have fun, be safe.
Yeah,
hug your friends, kiss your friends, do whatever you want to do.
But make sure you're vaccinated and not a stupid fuck. So
yeah, you stupid idiot. And watch Double or Nothing and watch this video and engage with us because there's going to be a lot of fun on the horizon.
Oh yeah, we'll have a lot more content building up to Double or Nothing. Maybe not such an extensive video, but like
Greg Goldman's here, so
he is here.
More to come on that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Hard to mention, but
yeah, have fun. We love you. See you soon.
Peace, guys.